I came up with a new show idea, Brad Lubie. And it's going to be a show entitled Loan Shark Tank, where we have like 5 loan sharks on one side, and the people come in, these bust out degenerate gamblers come in, and they try to negotiate better terms on some kind of a loan, and also secure the loan, even though their reputations may not match up with what would be considered spot on credit. And then you got some guy coming in there going, hey, listen, I'm looking for $600 at 2 points a week. I'm telling you, I'm going to pay you back. I know my reputation is not necessarily exemplary. And, then the loan sharks start picking them apart. It's like, well, what are you talking about, Johnny? 2 points a week. That's laughable. It's 7 points a week just to talk to me. What do you think?
I think it would be classic.
And you get the music going. The guy comes out. He's clearly in need of the money. And they get that dun, 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 dun. And you got some guy that looks like Vito. He's Mr. Wonderful's chair, and Mr. Wonderful's chair, and he's just looking at the guy like, what a watermelon.
I was gonna say you have to have at least one of the people or behind them enforcers, at least either behind them or off to the side
with that face, that the enforcer always has. Like, let me at him. How about a little taste of pain?
The beginning of every episode, it's a guy that fucking didn't pay last week. So they have to send a message.
Shit beat out of him, He's in some trash can peeling himself out. Man, here's last week's deadbeat. What do you think? Did I get some money to produce this thing? Is somebody going to steal the idea? I was afraid to unveil it here on the show because I thought it was brilliant.
I think it's funny.
Loan Shark Tank.
The time. Wake up with Defo, joined by Lubie. Welcome to the Defo Show.
Very pleasant. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to another edition of the Defo Show. Jeff DeForest. We got Mike Lubitz, and ready to rock and roll as we are now. Everybody's saying this. This is the last week was the last of the next 172 Saturdays. Where there'll be football. I mean, how many Saturdays is it that there's going to be football?
199. Okay.
Oh, fuck.
Say to February.
Yeah. All right, and we discussed a little bit of that yesterday with Tony Segreto. We asked Tony Segreto, could he live without football? Of course you could live without football, let's face it.
Yeah.
You maybe without food and water after a while, that would become a little bit of a problem. But football, yeah, we could live without it. Could we not, Lubie?
Yes.
I don't know that any of these gambling sites could live without it. And as we say, people, and this is a word of caution, and I think it's going to be, I don't know if I can adhere to this, though, Lubie. I mean, he who hath no self-control should not be preaching. Parlay.
Oh,
Parlez-vous français.
Exactly.
Parlay as in you're fucked in French.
Exactly.
Will we be betting massive parlays? See, I'm at the point, too, financially, where it doesn't really pay for me to bet 100 to win 100. I mean, that's not going to move the needle any. Nope. And with the likelihood, of course, that you're going to lose the 110 instead, which if you followed our good friend Troy West joined me on Bury Your Bookie yesterday, gave out what appeared to be just a beauty of a pick.
Okay.
The under 7 runs in the lowly White Sox game against the Giants, based on the fact that the White Sox had a pretty good pitcher out there who had acquitted himself very well for a pathetic team. But I saw a stat yesterday where the White Sox, of course, you would imagine, are among the leaders in the league at scoring 2 runs a game or less. They have out of the games they've played, about 125, 130 games? They've failed to score more than 2 runs in like 60 of them. That's ridiculous, right? I mean, we are seeing some scoring in spite of the fact that everybody strikes out in Major League Baseball. So this guy gives out the under 7 runs. They go to the 9th inning tied at 2 apiece, Lubie, 2 apiece. The White Sox 2-1 underdogs in the ball game. You were getting 2-1 on the White Sox if you played them, but who in their right mind could have played the White Sox on the road in any ball game, regardless? I mean, they could have brought back any pitcher, and you would have thought they could have dug up Louis Aparicio to play shortstop.
Yes.
Really, I mean, there was no chance. 2-1 was not a generous enough layout. I mean, by the bookies there to entice you to bet the White Sox. Anyway, somehow in a bullshit rally that involved a couple of walks and an infield single,
Yeah.
they rally for 4 runs.
Oh, Jesus.
End up winning the game 6-2, and the bet goes up in smoke, man. So, and imagine, I mean, it's hard enough to pick one game, much less start parlaying stuff. So remember that, people. Parlay in French translates directly. If you went French to English dictionary, it just says you're fucked right next to parlay. So keep that in mind. And now, while you're doing that, Lubie, will the temptation be there for people? I mean, I don't know. We said this yesterday, and I believe it to be true. And we discussed it with the great Iron Eagle, who, by the way, was that not brilliant having Iron Eagle? That's one of your best gets, Lubie. Anytime you can get Iron Man on the show, because he gets what we're where we're coming from and what we're all about here on the program. I've heard Iron on other interviews. He's always brilliant, right, with his analysis, Lubie. When you hear him on other shows, every now and then he's tuning in. Yeah, but
he's not the guy that we get.
No, I love that guy.
No.
And it's weird because he doesn't give the appearance of being that guy, does he? Just looks like a guy that would be, maybe massively inclined to pore over statistics in preparation for a game. And how many games does this guy have to prepare for? Where, I mean, you have to say, and there's an art to it. The guy never misses a beat. I mean, you don't hear him fumbling over names or statistics or anything like that. He seems to know what's appropriate to say at any time during a ballgame. Now, I don't know. Is play-by-play overrated, Lubie? Is it not as difficult as it appears? Because in essence, if you could describe action, yeah, I mean, you have a lot of options. It depends on the sport.
It's not it. Look, if you know sports, it's not impossible. Like I've done the color analyst part. I've never done play-by-play, but I did with Blake.
I could see you doing play-by-play, though. I really could.
Yeah. I never did play-by-play, but I presume you could do it. Look, if you know, what I will say is it does probably get difficult when the action's hot, like basketball and hockey. Football, baseball, I feel like it's got to be a lot more doable. The games move a little bit slower.
Baseball, there's a lot of time to fill. And you have to decide whether you're going to slumber the whole time, go John Smoltz, or are you going to lay out and you hear birds chirping in the background there at a Marlin game, even though they're playing indoors. That's the only noise there. There's the seagulls trying to get in that are trying to dodge the soot and the schmutz and the mercury of the Miami River. Is the Miami River laced with mercury, or is that just the Hudson River, Lubie? What do you think?
Sure, they all are. I wouldn't doubt it.
All right, so let's get into some sporting topics here. Never mind lamenting this loss. And it wasn't an official on me. I'm going back to the well one more time tonight. I don't know if this is a very sexy pick, though, Lubie. I'm going to give out Paul Skeens again.
Okay.
And it's going to be a very tepid lean towards Paul Skeens, who was brilliant in his last start and won for us. But are we, A, going to the well one time too often, or B, were we late to the party and this guy is set to incur a bunch of losses after going? No, I don't think he's going to lose. If the Pirates lose this game, I don't believe it'll be because of Paul Skeens having a lousy outing. I want to say that.
I think you were late to the party. So
thank you.
You might as well take advantage of it while the getting's good. I think. I don't think it's stupid to ride out someone who he's only lost 2 games or 3 games.
He's lost 2 games, and even in those losses, I don't think he really got tattooed or anything.
Yeah. I mean, I'd ride him out.
He's pitching to like a low 2 earned run average. Let me look it up for you here, Lubie. He's pitching to a 2.30 earned run average. Now, oddly, the Pirates are only 10-6 in the games that he started. So, is it a guarantee? I mean, it's close to it's over a 600 percentage.
Yeah. I mean, he's doing his job. He pitches well. They've lost 2 of the games, but again, I'm sure he didn't get a lot of run support in those games. I ride with at least one more.
One more time. You have to lay a price, though, Lubie. I mean, you're laying 155 to win 100, which I'm not inclined to do on my own, but I'll recommend it to other people. I'm just hoping to keep that streak alive because, we've had our handicapper on a couple of times, a gentleman named Troy West, good guy. And a very sincere and hardworking handicapping mathematical guru. The guy comes up with a lot of good picks, but 0-2 so far on Bury Your Ball.
Oh, no, really?
Yeah. I mean, it's early. Look, the guy could win his next 11. Just like I could lose my next 11, and that's more likely to happen than me pick another winner. So wish me luck with that. All right, now there's a big controversy going on. Is too much being made of this, Lubie?
Okay, what's that?
And I got to give it to Levitard, man. Somehow he always manages to find someone that's willing to say something that becomes massively controversial and blows up to the point where it's actually like on ABC Nightly News or whatever, where Tua is outing Brian Flores for being an asshole. And would you not? I mean, if you had to guess what side of this is more believable, having seen the demeanor of Brian Flores, would you not? Would you not assume that maybe there was some element of truth to what Tua is saying? I mean, he did not appear to be the happiest of gentlemen, did he?
Oh no,
Look, he hated everybody.
Flores came out and said something, and I mean, I'm happy for him, and that's great. I don't know if he wanted Tua to actually fail. I think he did have reservations about Tua, and the way he thought to motivate him was
how bad of a coach show is that? I mean,
well, it works. I'm sure.
Completely
look,
wrong.
He's a defensive coach. Remember, defensive guys.
Yeah, you can
a
scream
lot
at
of the
them.
time are great at wanting that shit. Like,
hit me in the head with an oar.
Their job is to go and hit someone, right? Their job is to go and hit someone. So there's nothing wrong with getting them fired up, getting them pissed to go hit someone. Offensive guys, especially quarterbacks, it's a lot more not only cerebral, but
sensitive.
Sort of been coddled. I mean, they're fucking quarterbacks. And the dude played for Nick Saban, and he got through that. You can't tell me Nick Saban's a fucking pussycat. So, like, it's not that he has a problem with criticism or tough coaches. It's Flores was treating him like a goddamn middle linebacker.
Constantly being berated. That never really works.
Like, he just... So... and that's the thing. Tua didn't say he was a good or bad coach. Tua didn't criticize his coaching. Tua probably told the facts.
He said he was a horrible person.
He said, well, no, he said the way he treated him was probably like something he's never had, and it got in his head, which Flores probably can't dispute that. Flores probably realizes, I was hard on the fucking kid. I was hoping it would work. It didn't work. We didn't fit together. Flores is very happy Minnesota has a goddamn defensive coordinator making money to be left alone. He'll probably get a head coaching job at some point if there's some team that's willing to take a chance on him. Take a chance on a guy that really went against what the organization was wishing. But Tua, I don't think Tua lied. Like, no, he didn't question him as his ability to coach. He said the manner in which he coached me not only didn't work for me, it actually hurt me, and it was fucking clear.
Some of it had to work, though. I mean, when he bounced back and ended up 5-9 that one season.
Yeah, look, Tua.
It was no, it wasn't 5-9. It was what was it, 5-11? Where they hadn't won a game. They were 0-7. That was his first year, wasn't it? How he rallied that team to win those games at the end of the year. Of course, I mean, you had a lot of things go right, but it was crazy. And of course, Tua wasn't playing at that point because he had been injured, and that was that. So I don't know. I mean, is it just because press and it's not just a talk show thing? I mean, this is all over the news. Also, is it that we need things to talk about? Because now Tua's being he didn't show up for the usual. It's funny too. I mean, is there any great level of importance? Like we saw Sal Palantonio was down here covering. He was in Tampa covering this joint practice. So, I mean, would you say Palantonio is he the number one ESPN NFL reporter at this point?
I mean, they've moved around a lot of people, so he's the longest tenured, I would presume. I don't know.
Been there forever. I mean, seems to be a credible guy. Great teeth. I mean, no one has better teeth than this guy. Wears the gray hair very well and well spoken. Journalistic background in writing, so I think that also enhanced his ability to communicate as in the electronic media as a broadcaster. And he's pressing everybody about this question, and he's reporting that as if this was really some kind of compelling news that Tua didn't speak to the press at his usual Wednesday press conference.
We already did. I mean, look, to try and make this something more and make something going forward, they're in the NFC. I don't think the two teams play.
Yeah.
Even if they did, like. He's a coach.
I don't know that it would matter anymore, right?
He's not a player on the other team. Like going forward, McDaniel's his coach. I don't. That's the problem with some of the news people is when a story's out there, they try to suck every last bit of juice out of it, and it's like, no, this was the story. It was out there. We read it. Tua
I mean, you
talked
could
about
see
it.
it comes as no surprise, right, Lubie? I mean, you
100%.
could see that there was definitely a huge wall between Flores and Tua. Whenever, I mean, just the body language alone was enough to tell you that these guys weren't fond of each other.
Look, he didn't have the talent around him, so I don't
Yeah,
know what he would have been as a quarterback, but he definitely wasn't as good as he could have been.
yeah.
And on top of that, it was he kept forcing in Fitzpatrick. Like that was the whole thing, was he kept forcing in Fitzpatrick when all of us were like, what are you getting by playing? Like, what is the point of the fucking Fitzpatrick shit? Like, it was clear Fitzpatrick was an old salty dog veteran who
No,
was probably able to handle his bullshit, and Tua didn't want to hear it.
he
And
probably wasn't getting his bullshit. That's what I would think, right? Because usually the guy
yeah,
that
left him alone.
the
That's true.
coach or whatever the leader sees as his or her alternative
Yeah, they're good, nice to them.
is like, oh yeah, I mean, that's why you got much more favorable treatment than I did at iHeartMedia.
Yeah, I got great treatment. Like the golden boy.
All right, so I don't know. I mean, I think it's not really much ado about nothing. It's kind of interesting that you just don't see players come out and say that an active coach was an asshole, and
No.
you know what was probably contributing to whatever negativity you experienced as an NFL player. But to his credit, he didn't quit, and like you said, I mean that's a very valid point. It'll be a good one. He played for Nick Saban, for Christ's sake. What do you think it was like when you made a mistake and you came to the sidelines to see old Saint Nick?
Yeah.
I can't imagine that he was going to be infused with a lot of flattering remarks.
Bill O'Brien, I think, was one of his offensive coordinators. Bill O'Brien's another old school fucking dude.
Old school, hard on, yeah.
You can't tell me Bill O'Brien's like treating the quarterbacks with care. Like, get the fuck out of here. I mean,
Bill O'Brien is a perfect example of the old cliche. While Bill O'Brien, the GM, is failing Bill O'Brien, the coach.
exactly.
I always love that one. You don't see it that often anymore, but where a guy has a dual role. So, yeah, I mean, he certainly had taken, his share of verbal beatings, I'm sure.
Yes.
In the context of being a college player. And I don't know. Yeah, Flores just seemed to be angry with the world, didn't he? I mean, if you think back, it was almost like the Trump campaign. It was a dark picture that he was painting, and maybe fueled by the idea that he got the job and they literally treated him like the token, capitulation there to the Rooney Rule.
I mean, everything we've heard from the whole Flores time was fucking weird. The way that they treated him when he first got there, asking him to tank games, which is weird for a guy to ask a minority hire that knows down deep this could be his only opportunity.
Could be fired mid-season, never sniff a. I mean, I don't know that I doubt he gets another head coaching job. I would say no to that if I was going to be a betting man.
It's rare for minorities to automatically get another job. Look, Tony Dungy got another job. Raheem Morris has now gotten another job. It happens, but it's not like the white guys that just keep getting retreaded over and over again. Like, you could be one and done as a minority. So you really got to take advantage of the opportunity. I mean, it is what it is, like whether the team likes it or not. And then on top of that, the fact that he did the lawsuit thing and,
what happened to them, man?
I know, just went away.
All of those contentions just went out the window.
Settlements, and he got paid a lot of money, and the NFL is happy that it went away.
Oh, really? They kind of got rid of this thing, you're saying?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, it's been years. Have you heard it? I don't know where the fuck it is.
Not a word. I remember he was on like every show, and he even looked, I mean, he especially looked angry then, and he had the two very eloquent lawyers who liked to spiel, and they were talking about how all this racism is, boy, did they silence that. You're right. Oh, what kind of capital did that cost? Somebody's got to investigate that. Where's Jim Sarney on this one? Come on, Jimmy.
And he says it's still pending. Okay. It's done. The case is done. It's never going anywhere.
You've heard nothing about it. Flores says nothing about it. Nobody asks him about it. Is it taboo, off limits there? I mean, if you mention, hey, Brian, now whatever happened to all of that bullshit you were saying about the National Football League, which may well have been true. I mean, I had a tendency and an inclination to believe what Flores was saying. I'm not sure that he was even exaggerating, was he? When he was talking about racism in the league and all of this stuff. But, I mean, to contend that the owner of a team, and that didn't go very far, that investigation, did it?
No. I mean, it probably happened, but
Goodell probably got on a phone with the secretary for Stephen Ross and said, hey, Joan, could you ask Steve if he paid a guy to lose games? He says no, Raj. Okay.
There's no Raj.
End of the investigation.
Yeah, I mean,
That's a good one. Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, I mean, I just think they keep trying to make this a story going forward. I don't see what the story is going forward. Brian Flores, he has players on defense that he coaches. He does a good job. No one's ever complained there. I presume that's what he'll be for either forever for a long time. And Tua's one of the better quarterbacks in the league now. So I mean, it seems to have worked out. I don't know what the story is going forward. I know they're going to try and stop
Story now, Lube, the way it was being presented by the great Sal Palantonio, who we like a lot.
I like him. Yeah, talk to him.
Guested with us one time when we were really busted out trying to find a guest at a Super Bowl radio row. What did we get there? That was in Indianapolis, I remember.
Like
and we got there late.
Like the first night we were just setting up. We were thinking we could record anything. It was the first time I think we were there.
Yeah.
You record anything for the next day. And he had been walking around and he was like a really cool. We had him on for like 20, 30 minutes. He was great.
I think at first he was reluctant and then somehow we drew him into the conversation with the mention of Ali Sherman.
Yes.
Because he had taken over doing that, the analysis show.
NFL matchup.
Yeah. NFL matchup. Yeah. He's on there with like Greg Cosell, who's dead serious. I mean, we had Cosell on the show, man.
I know I stopped having him on. You didn't.
Holy shit. I mean, you talk about a poor reception for the usual DeForest jokes. My God, Lubie. You couldn't feel any more like you were bombing unless you were talking to that guy, Tillman Fertitta, which what was that the most hostile interview that you've ever heard? Where you were trying to, just stroke the guy. Hey, how's your new book?
Yeah. That's all it was.
Next thing you know, the guy's like insulting us, and he's telling us what assholes we are, and you could tell by the tone in his voice that he wasn't happy. I guess it was like being Tua and being subjected every day. Imagine Tua in meetings, you're getting emasculated in front of your macho ball scratching teammates. Come on, Lubie, that can't be pretty. And if you are of questionable talent on the NFL level, then I can't see where psychologically that would really help you out. But the new story is, Lubie, and this is how it goes in sports journalism and maybe all journalism today, making something out of nothing. Mm-hmm. The new story is, will it be a distraction? Palantonio was saying, will it be a distraction?
No. To what?
For the Miami Dolphins to have Tua's mindset being with all of this Michael Jordan-esque animosity towards everyone who ever said hello to him.
I mean, some of these people may have played with Flores, but like if they did, they probably agree with him. Like he's not there. They all seem to really like McDaniel. Like when they ask that stuff, I think that's so weird because like players move on. They don't give a fuck. We're the ones that get upset that they're partying when they just lost by 25. Like
we were talking about that yesterday with Tony.
They don't hold on to crap. They don't give a shit. Tua clearly is all you're hearing is that Tua's a different guy. He's talking more. He's a better leader. He's confident. He's coming into his like that's all you're hearing. Waddle was like glowing about Tua, and he played with him at Bama and is talking about the growth that he alone is seeing. Like that's all you're hearing about Tua.
Tua gives off a very positive vibe, I believe.
Yes.
As evidenced by, when he brushed past us at that radio row in Miami, and we were saying, Tua, we were doing the usual geeked out stuff that people do in these situations when there's no chance the guy is going to stop and talk to you, even though we're praying. Can you imagine? That, he stopped by the booth there, and that Lee Steinberg would have just said to him, hey, I like these guys, Tua. Why don't you sit down and do about 15 minutes with them? Wasn't happening, but as he blew by, I mean, I got a very positive vibe. I'm one of these people that usually has a decent read on people at very first impression, and I felt like, wow, this is a good guy, a humble guy that you're kind of hoping can manifest whatever talent he has or he displayed on the college football field right here in the pros. That was certainly suspect also. So it's good to see that he's reached this level in spite of the fact that Brian Flores treated him like shit.
Yes, that's what I got from the story is that they didn't work. Both are in better places right now, and both of their teams are going to try and win.
It's great too, Lubie, how we try to psychoanalyze like situations like that. What is the point of that? If you think about it, we killed 20 minutes of talk show.
You did do a half an hour on something I didn't know was a topic.
I mean, it's of some. What's of interest to me is how much interest it seems to be, or is it just being foisted upon us A perfectly understandable position, but rarely expressed. I guess that would be the thing that makes the story somewhat unique.
Hey, look, I think to a lot of people, because Flores won 5 games, then won 9 games, it seemed like they were trending in the right direction, even though every year they started abysmally. So it felt like you were only going to be so good.
This guy had no talent, though, outside of a handful of people.
It felt like if he got real players, he could do something with it. And then it felt like he was unceremoniously fired. And then we heard all the fucking stuff after and the draft picks and all this
That
crap.
was great, yeah.
Like it felt like what we thought was happening from the professor and his conspiracy theories, but what by the end of it you could sort of see with the way Flores played Tua and the weird back and forth between him and Fitzpatrick, which made zero sense. Tua's your guy, just go with him. So to us, it's not a shock. I think that's half the part of the story is not only, yes, it's a player talking about former coach while both are still in the league. They had decent success together and they flirted with the playoffs. And it was like, okay, yeah, they don't work great together, but there wasn't a confirmation that there was issues. So Tua coming out and confirming that, it's, oh my God, what a shocker. Didn't do anything to me. Like we were down here, we saw it. We literally have the Ken every week. I can play it if you want the fucking Brian Flores.
Yeah.
Like, he literally hated Brian Flores because of the year before not tanking the right way. And then the way the whole 2 years, Ken talked about every week about how Flores is literally out to get Tua. So like, it's not news to us. So to me, for them to be shocked, I think it's fun.
It's a big deal, man. I mean, like they're breaking in on convention coverage to give you the latest on Tua and Brian Flores. And Flores has made comments now, and you got Tua backing up on what he said. But yeah, that's the beauty of sports journalism, and I guess all of this stuff that's based largely on speculation and psychoanalysis that we would have no level of expertise in whatsoever. We have no idea what this guy's thinking. I'm thinking if I just got 160 guaranteed in terms of millions of dollars, I could get over the fact that I was abused by Brian Flores 2 years ago. Since I've subsequently led the league in passing and seem to be just having a grand old time here. Playing for what for Tua would have to be the perfect coach, and that would be Mike McDaniel, unless that dynamic changes, where a couple of inopportune picks suddenly lead. Imagine if McDaniel starts cursing them out. That would really be something.
Oh, yeah. I mean,
guy's a good guy, though. I mean, the kind of guy that you can really embrace. I'm not sure. I mean, is he as popular as he should be in the city of Miami and Fort Lauderdale and South Florida, so-called South Florida? Is Tua Tagovailoa as popular as he should be?
No. He's not like this beloved quarterback. Again, it went either way. A lot of people.
This ain't Danny Boy, is what you're saying.
No. A lot of people are like me and defend him, and then there's plenty of Dolphin fans themselves that have questions with him. I mean.
Yeah,
and the questions are justified. He's been in the league 3 years. They've been in the playoffs. They've been in the league 5. This is 5th year. Been in the playoffs the last 2 years, and they don't have a playoff victory. Yes, there's a lot of stuff around that for me, but most people don't look at that. I mean, even Perk, who covers the Dolphins, disregards that. He says, yeah, that's neither here nor there. I mean, I think that's not true.
Got to win the big one is what everybody says.
Where you're going to have injuries. It's the NFL. You have great quarterbacks. Find a way to win when you're down players. I'm not fighting that. That's an adage I don't really agree with. I think that's weird. But, yeah, I mean, when you have the offensive line's the one injury that quarterbacks don't overcome, actually. But we have lied to ourselves to think that quarterbacks are fucking the hero complex saviors. So you either win by yourself or you're the worst. So whatever. And people are allowed to have that opinion of Tua. But that's what they do. Like he's not, it's not an automatic, Marino came out and had 50 touchdowns and 8 interceptions and led him to the goddamn Super Bowl his first fucking starting year. Like Tua's not that. He's not beloved. We'll see if he gets.
No. Yeah, I mean, if you line it up right away, that helps in terms of your public image, whether it's going to be favorable or not.
Wade literally his rookie year puts a team on a team of young veterans,
and that's people fell in love with him. Yeah,
he puts them on his back, makes a game winner to win a series. They pushed the number 1 team in the East to 6 games, and then the next year was Shaq. He was the best player on a team that should have won a title if he doesn't hurt his fucking shoulder. When Shaq should have won an MVP in the playoffs, Wade was the better player. Like that that's the kind of thing that we get excited about. Miguel Cabrera comes right in, hits the fucking home run as a 20-year-old against Roger Clemens in the World Series. Like, these guys come in with a loud boom. We like surround them when they come in with questions. No matter how good they eventually get, we sit there wondering, huh? You know, like, it's always that. It just sits there.
Is there any concern about Tyreek Hill's sore thumb as it was?
I don't know what is my problem with Tyreek is, and you said it, and you're not wrong. Like, we've heard it in practice, he goes all out and he plays all out, but he gets these weird little nicks, these weird little injuries that like he'll miss half games, he'll miss a quarter, and you're like,
I mean, it's a byproduct of playing hard all the time. It really is.
Yeah. I mean, it makes sense.
Hey, look, the guy could have taken you ever do that? That was one of the most painful things in sports. I was thinking about when I was actually going to ask you yesterday for some reason on the show. I forget what the situation was or the topic, if there was one. What's the worst pain you've ever experienced in your life? Yeah.
I haven't had a ton of the injuries that are supposedly super painful. I'm actually lucky in that regard. Rib stuff, supposedly.
One of the worst, though. I mean, it happened a lot in basketball, and when it happened in football, it was especially painful. It could happen in baseball, and I've had it happen to me in all three sports. But and I'm sure almost anybody that's played anything at any level, eventually, where the ball goes straight off your stretched out thumb.
Right? Yeah.
Some guy throws you a pass, and maybe you're not expecting it, or you just happen to catch it the wrong way, and it hits you square in the thumb, straight on the tip, and I mean, it's excruciating.
In the moment.
Is it not? I mean, getting kicked in the balls, yes, obviously, that's never good. I remember I had a ball guy when I thought I wanted to be a catcher, Lubie, and don't ever play this position, and don't let your children play this position, because it's just not worth the beating. I don't know. I mean, you have to be somebody that really is into some form of sadomasochistic behavior. Literally, foul tips are going off your face mask or a chest protector. The chest protectors back in the old days didn't cover a whole hell of a lot either, right? You didn't have all this Steve Yeager stuff with stuff hanging from your chin, and you get hit in the shoulder. I don't care. I mean, there's no protection there. But yeah, I mean, I remember, and they always told you to wear a cup when you were catching.
Well, as a catcher,
did you wear a cup? I wouldn't wear a cup playing any other position.
I've never worn a cup playing sports. I never was that physical of a sport.
Yeah.
And I never played catcher. A catcher, I would think you wear a cup. Yes, the ball takes weird fucking bounces, and I feel like it finds your crotch region.
Yes, almost as if there was a magnetic force field in play. Because and then the cup, the sizes, I don't know that they necessarily equated out to being compatible with your human genital configuration, but. If there was, I don't know how else to describe it except to just give it in its ultimate detail, which is you got a little piece hanging out of the cup, and then a foul tip comes and hits that cup.
Oh no! That would hurt more.
Oh my God! Wow, you're seeing stars for like. And it's one of those things. I don't know. Have you ever had an injury in sports where you kind of like sort of came to after being in like some blinding pain? And then as you come to, you see everybody like hovering over you, like you just checked out. And you're like, oh, fuck, what the hell happened to me? But the thumb thing, I mean, look, if Tyreek took a football off the tip of his thumb like that,
it's going to hurt.
It's not going to kill you, but I mean, you're not going out there to practice against the Buccaneers, for God's sake, 2 weeks before the start of the regular season. You're going to be on the bench. Palantoni was pressing. I mean, Sal was at his, hard-ass reporting best. He was pressing Mike McDaniel about the injury. He asked like 2 follow-up questions. After McDaniel blew him off originally, he said, well, yeah, these things happen.
It's preseason, whatever, man. I mean, it's Tyreek.
Do we know anything about this? And by the way, we were trying to connect with Dave Gurgles Gurgley. That looks like a scratch, huh?
Yeah, there's no trivia today.
Okay, because Gurgles was having computer issues upon his return from what I'm hoping was a very successful trip to Saratoga. He said he did not run into Jersey Kyle while he was there.
Interesting.
Although Jersey said that, he had, he had me send Gurgles' number. Okay. And he never heard from Gurgles. So that was Gurgles might have been what? You think he was winning so much money that
probably.
Ask him how he did in Saratoga so we can report that. Kyle said they did okay. They hit enough stuff to survive. And what? Any gambling trip where you break even, is that considered a massive stroke of good luck? Would you say, Lubie? I mean,
Yeah,
4
yeah.
days in Atlantic City, you come back with any money at all.
Yeah, it's a win.
Big win, right? If you haven't hit the
100%.
ATM machine 100 times, which is good now. I mean, and this is good for my gambling, and unfortunate gambling habits. That my ATM card has expired, and I don't want to get another one.
I mean, you sort of need one. Like, maybe you don't need one. I need my ATM card. I don't know. I wish you luck in not having an ATM card.
But you don't necessarily frequent enough casinos for the ATM card to just be doing that gypsy dance that it does in your pocket when you're down to like $20 and you're thinking, I really want to bet this horse and try to get out. Forget about it. All right, so a full slate of NFL preseason games. Everybody's playing, including tonight. 2 games on the ticket, Lubie. We'll get into that. Well, we don't have gurgles for the trivia challenge, so unfortunately, even though I struggled to remember the phone number, I finally came up with it.
You did.
We won't be able to conduct that aspect of the show, but we'll try and bring you Dave Gurgles Gurgling next week. We'll come back with more. We have all of these NFL games, a bunch of stuff going on, Major League Baseball. I don't know if are you betting WNBA by any chance?
No. I forget that it's going on.
Has Sarni gotten to you?
No.
No, he hasn't gotten to you.
I forget it's still there. Like when he wanted to do the Caitlin Clark thing and you were a guest, I was like, Caitlin Clark. I'm like, what the fuck's wrong? I'm like, oh, WNBA? I'm like, I didn't know.
Caitlin Clark has been great. How she wasn't on this Olympic team, it's just further evidence of what a disgrace that was.
Well, and they struggled to move the ball. They struggled to have
like a 90-year-old Diana Taurasi. Congratulations, one of my favorite women players of all time.
Yeah, she's not looking.
I mean, which is only among how many favorite women players of all time do you have, Lubie? I mean, could you have like a handful?
2 or 3.
Could you name 5 women players of all time?
Yes.
Cheryl Miller was pretty good.
Cheryl Miller.
Ann Myers was pretty good, going way, way back.
Lisa Leslie.
Nancy Lieberman, was legendary. Even like a park player would get out there with the boys at Rucker and fit right in. That was pretty cool.
Yes.
Did she play at Rucker Park or did I make that
Miller.
up? I think I made that up. Yeah, Cheryl Miller. Fantastic player. Many top women players over the years. So there. We've done it justice, Lubie. What are you talking about? This isn't some sexist, misogynistic Republican National Convention stuff. By the way, I mean, are they not? Is the Democratic Party not far more eloquent? I mean, in terms of speech making.
Yes. Well, we're in a different time because there's a lot of I feel weird saying young because they're my age or older, but they're
the other convention. Though, was some guy from the NRA getting up there and going, "We need our guns."
There's a lot of younger people in the Democratic Party that are very eloquent these days. I mean, the guy Wes Moore from Maryland, I didn't even know who the fuck that was.
Yeah, he did a great job.
Like, there's just they have a very Pete Buttigieg, obviously. Hakeem Jeffries is fucking classic. Like
Buttigieg, every time I see him, I'm impressed with this guy.
And he eventually be president when they get over the gay thing.
You think? Wow.
No, he literally goes
I like this guy. I mean, maybe he's full of shit like a lot of politicians are, but I mean, from at least what he says on the surface, you're thinking, wow, this guy's great. So I don't know. Is transportation so fucked up? I mean,
no, but
could anybody overcome Spirit Airlines as a Secretary of Transportation? And what did he know about this job before? I mean, the guy was like the mayor of Green Bay or something, wasn't he?
He was the mayor of South Bend, Indiana, actually, home of Notre Dame.
There you go.
But he was a presidential candidate, and he now has been Secretary of the Transportation for 3.5 years now. But they use him for more than that. I mean, you can see I thought he was Secretary of the state because he literally goes on Fox and like schools them on a daily basis now. Like, so
yeah, he made a joke about that. Says he never thought you would recognize him from his appearances on Fox News. It is funny what's happening. I mean, in this country, has it not become almost a cartoon? And it really is crazy. All right, we're going to come back with more in a moment here on the Defo Show. Jeff DeForest, Mike Lubitz, waxing philosophical here today as we don't have Dave Gurgles Gurgly. The Chronic is a little upset.
Yes.
And rightfully so, because we always love bringing you guys.
Yeah, I thought we were doing trivia. He called me this morning. He was ready to go, and they are having computer issues, and we sort of need him to be on a computer. That's sort of how this works.
Yeah, the phone thing didn't work. Time we tried that was ugly. All right, back with more in a moment. Now that it's 8:40. Champions, the outstanding simulcasting room at beautiful Hialeah Park. Yes, the grand old lady of thoroughbred racing has never been more vibrant, And you can wager on the races from the top tracks around the country while enjoying a cocktail at the Brass Rail Bar or any of the fine food served throughout the facility. If poker is your game, you're covered in style. And you can play all your favorite Vegas-style games, including blackjack, craps, and roulette, in Hialeah Park's sizzling hot casino. Get a player's card when you walk through the door for all kinds of generous amenities, including our favorite, free play, when you come out to the ultimate casino and entertainment destination, Hialeah Park.
These days, we're all looking for comfort anywhere we can find it. Thank goodness for Landlubbers Raw Bar and Grill in Plantation, because they are making sure you are as comfortable as possible. First of all, they're not only open for delivery and pickup. All you have to do is go to landlubbersbarandgrill.com for both pickup and free delivery. You're going to have the best wings in the world. You're going to have a great burger. You're going to have their amazing soups. Again, Landlubbers, Raw Bar, and Grill. It's nice and easy. Just go to landlubbersbarandgrill.com for both your pickup and free delivery. Thank goodness for Landlubbers for making you always feel right at home.
Are you looking to buy your first home? Have you been turned down for a loan? Do you need to refinance or get money out of your home? Call Michael Kodsey, CEO of Choice Mortgage. He's been helping the South Florida community get mortgages for 30 years.
Hi, this is Michael Kodsey, CEO of Choice Mortgage. We have the most competitive fixed rates in the market. Call me 24/7, 561-441-2730. And remember, I don't just work banking hours. To make the right choice for your home, call Choice Mortgage today.
Oh, Solo Volante will be coming late. Oh, Solo Volante, the Belmont's now 1.8 miles. The finish line is coming up quick. Luca Panici just switched the stick.
The only way to get your morning started is with Defo, joined by Lubie, right here on The Defo Show.
Anyway, Louis, that guy, Lucas Puil, he won that qualifying match yesterday at minus 110.
Oh, wow.
So the guy who recommended it from Action Sports, we often cite Action Sports when they're dead wrong about something.
Yes.
This guy comes up with an obscure tennis match to bet. And it wasn't like it was easy, Louis. This is not for the faint of heart. We've said this many, many times. You have to be tough. You have to be able to take a punch if you're going to be a gambler, don't you? One of the toughest chins in the history of boxing, Lubie, was, and maybe to his detriment, was the great Muhammad Ali. He could take a punch.
Yep.
Knocked down only 4 times in his career. I mean, think about the heavyweights that were around at the time, and you're thinking, okay, we all saw the Joe Frazier one. That's well documented. So many other guys that knocked him down. Chuck Wepner, that was kind of a slip. I mean, wrongly ruled a knockdown. Sonny Banks. Do you remember the great Sonny Banks? Not Sonny Liston, Sonny fucking Banks.
Sonny Banks, I don't know.
Don't really remember much about him. I am familiar with the name. Henry Cooper, this stiff out of England.
Don't know.
Who, back in those days, Ali fights used to be on network television. They would have like a special Friday night edition.
That's crazy.
I remember watching Henry Cooper and Ali in a bowling alley on like ABC. That would never happen today.
No.
Unbelievable. But, I mean, you have to have a tough chin because you're going to take some really, really tough beats if you're gambling. So you got to be able to take a punch. That would be the number one thing. And if you're going to take a swing on any of these preseason games, wow. What would be the number to call if you're going to play trivia? 888 admit it. We would have to get into that. Andy gives us Carol Blazejowski.
I don't know that
Remember
name.
her? I don't know. I mean, the name was always associated with basketball greatness, was it not? And yet I can't recall. I'm sure at some point in my life I saw Carol Blazejowski play basketball.
I don't even know the name.
I don't know. I don't really remember her.
Heard that name at all? Is that his cousin? I know he talked about his cousin was a great athlete in New York. I've never heard of Carol Blazejowski.
No, she was a top-notch women's basketball player, and we would have to get verification from Jim Sarney, who is all over the board here today.
I don't know that name at all.
With stuff. Do we address any of these things that he has brought up?
You can. No? I've done it on the chat.
I mean, he knows his stuff. I wouldn't have thought of this, right? Where Dan Hicks is replacing Jack Collinsworth.
I thought
NBC Notre Dame games.
I definitely heard Noah Eagle do something Notre Dame. So I thought Noah Eagle, because he's like fucking everywhere now.
Maybe he's doing play-by-play. Was Jack Collinsworth just a sideline guy?
No, Collinsworth, I think.
No, Dan Hicks wouldn't take a sideline job. This guy's big time.
remember he used to do the Sunday night football stuff, and then they moved him to doing.
They made him play-by-play announcer of Notre Dame.
Yeah, it was like a thing, and he's not good. He
Is
sounds
that nepotism or what?
It's a lot like Ian, where like Noah Eagle a lot of the time does sound just like Ian.
Yeah,
but Noah Eagle's really good. Like
excellent on his own. Sure,
Collinsworth he sounds a lot like Chris Collinsworth in their voice and the way they deliver, but he's not good. Like he doesn't. And again, Chris was never a play-by-play person, but like I don't know. I'm not the biggest fan of Jack Collinsworth. So, but Dan Hicks is good. Dan Hicks has been around a long time. You always forget about him because he's stuck on NBC, and NBC doesn't really have anything outside of like occasional golf.
You're right. Jack Collinsworth, isn't he always kind of a goofball? I mean, isn't that how he got going, or is that one of the Mannings? Like it's like being Shemp in the Mannings, where you're the fourth Manning.
Cooper Manning.
It really is, right? What's the guy's name? Is it Cooper Manning?
Cooper is the oldest one. The father of Arch is Cooper.
Okay. The father of Arch. Okay, all right.
Arch Manning, the one that's at Texas.
Right. He's throwing a rock around like there's no tomorrow.
The oldest Manning. The oldest Manning is the one that was great into college, and why Eli went to Ole Miss, but he had an injury and he never hit his potential, but he became like a millionaire businessman on his own right. Yeah. So he's a success in his own right, and he does football too. I think he's a part of the camps with them, but he never made it to the NFL. He sired Arch Manning. The one that's
sired. I love the way you put that, Lubie, man. In racing terminology.
I'm with you. So he's the father.
Like you could just get up at the Ocala Breeders sales.
He is more good. He is a little
August event.
Supposedly, yes. He has a good sense of humor.
All right, I have a topical sports talk question for you, Lubie, and I'm actually curious to hear your answer. And I don't know, I meant to ask Ian Eagle about this yesterday, but we kind of ran out of time from goofing around on other stuff. And So what do you make of the new kickoff rule? Have we seen anybody break one yet? I want to say no, that nobody's returned a kickoff for a touchdown in the preseason, or even broken one to the point where you're going, wow. Because if everybody's lined up, and what would it be? The receiving team's like 40-yard line.
Yes, that's where it is. They like me in the middle.
Who's back? I mean, if the guy breaks through somehow, some little, I want to seal over here and a seal over here, and he breaks through some seam, as everybody's in about the same depth on the field, how come nothing's been broken yet?
Because they like meet in the middle, and there's nowhere for the guy to go. Like I don't know if I've seen a guy get to like the 40.
No, I mean, it seems like every kickoff is 30 or 20 to the 30-yard line.
And I don't understand the rules. Like if you get it to the end zone,
you get it in the end zone, you can take it at the 30, or you can run it out.
Yeah, but then if you kick it short of the end zone, then you get it to the 20.
You have to kick it short of the end zone. Yes,
I don't understand that. Like I'm confused.
They're encouraging you to kick it short of the end zone in this little area there, this like green area. If it goes in the end zone, naturally, most teams, if you told them before every kickoff, hey, you can have the ball on the 30, they take it, right?
Well, not exactly.
I mean, it was the 25. Going back, it was at the 20.
Yes.
Now you're getting at the 30-yard line. I mean, 2 plays, you're at midfield. Yes. You can throw some dinky screen pass and break a run. Yep. You're at midfield, so that's good field position. Listen to me.
I mean, you sound like Mike Mayock, but you're not wrong. Like I thought about that too, because someone ran it out. I'm like, dude, you got to the 26, like you lost yards. But
yes,
I think they're also trying to figure out this fucking thing, because even I'm like, okay, there's different.
So what do you think? I mean, look, I'm all for trying to incorporate and legislate some kind of safety into the game.
Yeah,
I don't know that you legitimately can. I'm not sure that we've seen any increase or decrease, for that matter, in the number of guys that are down on the field after a kickoff play. I don't recall seeing an overwhelming amount of people, being carted off or whatever, in what little preseason action I've seen. But I have seen a lot of these kickoffs, and of course, you've seen highlights of it. Yeah. But what you haven't seen a highlight of, at least as far as I can tell, is somebody taking one all the way back.
I've never seen fuck taking one back again. I'd like to see someone just break one and get some extra yardage, because I think you're right. I think that's the whole thing, is if you get past that wall, you're gone. Like there's no one who's there to.
Who's there? Nobody. The kicker, man. And if you can't outrun the kicker, you should be cut right after. I mean, maybe even before the play is over, your contract goes in the shredder there. Every now and then, I mean, you're gonna unfortunately run into the kicker just by some freak of nature. Maybe you're trying to dodge somebody else and you trip over the guy. But most of the time, the kicker's not running you down.
No, especially on a kickoff.
Some little guy that's in here on a visa. There I go.
He's-
I watched too much of the Republican National Convention.
Yeah, I
Now.
guess
They're
so.
taking our jobs.
It's
They're
lingering.
committing crimes. It's insane. All right, so we don't have a conclusion yet, Lubie. You don't seem to be a fan of it, although I am
I think it's weird.
very much a fan of not seeing some guy go down on a kickoff and he's out for the season.
I don't need guys being hurt, but I don't even care about the kickoff thing because they had already pretty much eliminated kickoffs. Guys
Yes.
weren't doing anything with it anyways. I don't like what they did with what they've done with onside kicks. Like, first of all, before this year where you couldn't spread the people out, you couldn't load up a side, so it made an onside kick, which was already tough to do, impossible. Now that you're not even allowed to do an onside kick till like 2 minutes. Like, I don't know, they've legislated the onside kick out of the game. Like, look, that Super Bowl where the Saints just pulled it out of their ass was a big play for that fucking Super Bowl.
Yes.
Like, the fact that you can only do it now when they're waiting for it, signaling that how many people were really getting hurt on onside kicks? Like, I don't know. Why
Jimmy used to try the surprise onside kick every now and then, and I want to say he was pretty effective with it. Like probably successful more often, certainly higher than the percentages would be for getting an onside kick when everybody in the stadium knows that you have to try it. So I mean, it's kind of wild. Look, guys running at full speed. Storming down the field, crashing into some guy that's not even going to be all that consequential in the play. That was a lot of dangerous stuff, but
yes.
haven't been able to figure out if I like it or not. I mean, you could just take the ball and automatically put it at the 25 every time and eliminate the play altogether. Where would that be beneficial? If it's not going to be a play that entices and creates any kind of excitement, then what's the point?
I don't know.
Kind of like the extra point was when it was just a total matter of routine when they used to put the ball at the 2-yard line there and the guy was making a 20-yard kick. Forget about it.
Yep.
Put another 10 yards on there. All right. You're going to get a few misses. Could cost you a game. Could cost you a spread. Could cost you one where you're laying 3 and a hook.
It costs a lot of games. What do you mean? You're seeing one missed almost every game.
Oh, my God. Yeah. I mean, to have your fate being decided by a kicker.
Yeah, I think that's annoying, actually. That's what's funny is they've done all these tinkering. Some of the things they've done, I think, were stupid one way, and some are stupid the other way. Like, I get the safety angle, again, but we've talked about this. I don't know if you're ever making it safe. So, to me, I think we've gotten to as safe as it's going to be, either play or don't. I don't know. These little moves they're doing, I don't know how many people. Again, we're seeing as many injuries as we've always seen, because now people aren't in shape until like halfway into the year.
It's an inherent danger in the game. The Jets are insisting, Lubie, on that note that you brought up about the players being in shape, that they're not running a Marquis de Sade type of version of training camp.
No one is.
Even though Aaron Rodgers is claiming that this is among the toughest training camps that he's had to endure in the era since all of this stuff about practice was legislated in a collective bargaining agreement where the players said essentially, hey, listen, it's too much.
Look, I'm all for taking care of the players, but we've seen a lot as much. Like, it's not like the injuries have gone away. Like, the injuries are still there and they're still prevalent. So, like, why not have them be prepared? I'm not, again, the 3-a-days. They got fucking not drinking water. Tom Coughlin. Yes, I'm not saying go back to the 90s. Again,
yeah, that stuff was a little ridiculous.
Don't be Marquis de Sade, actually, but
we've got to develop men here.
They should be prepared. They should be ready. It shouldn't take like a month to get into the season, but it feels like that's where we are right now.
Jason Cole always says that you're a fool if you're betting the NFL in the early portion of the year. Yeah. I don't think he's a huge advocate for gambling, although you would have to think that part of the big reason why the NFL is so highly and wildly successful is stimulated by the amount of action that there is, and they're now partners with virtually every. How many of these betting organizations are there, Lubie? Are there more than 100? Where you can lay off action? Think about that. What's happened here?
I always think about you always hear DraftKings and the one that merged with DraftKings. I don't really.
FanDuel, yeah.
FanDuel and DraftKings are the two that I don't really hear anything else.
MGM, you have that.
Maybe every company has their own.
BetRiver. I mean, I see so many of them. Yeah. It's incredible. Every day. I mean, we used to advertise for a bunch of these things that I don't even know exactly what they did, right? Underdog Fantasy. I'd be reading the Spawn trying to figure out what the fuck did these guys do. Of course, with a ringing endorsement for how wonderful they were.
I'm sure they were fine.
Not that we're insincere. I mean, we try to vouch for people that we believe in here on the program.
Yes.
Which we do. Polyman was right. I wouldn't want to arm wrestle Michael Conci. Would you?
No, he's a big dude.
Big guy, man. And yet, I mean, he uses that intellectual muscle to hustle the mortgages for you. So, I don't know. And people, are they still having difficulties with that?
Yeah, I mean, it depends. They've made it tough.
You're in the real estate market.
They've made it tougher to get mortgages, but I
Yeah.
mean, it's not impossible. Again, I help people buy a house in February. It's just a lot of, they don't want to go back to like the 2006 or 2008. So when things were getting a little crazy, they
you would come in like a bird cage down to the bank, and they would just sign off on $800,000 in loans. I took advantage of that, I would have to say. I intended to pay the money back.
I intended.
Just ran into some hard times. All right, good times ahead. What are you gonna? What do you got? Oh, you got the trivia tonight at Landlubbers. So that's great. The Chronics will be out there defending their title from a week ago, right? Chronics, and maybe Gurgles will be able to get out there. That'll be great. That gets on away. What, 6:30, Lubie?
Yes, sir. 6:30 tonight. Landlubbers, Pine Island, and Sunrise Boulevard and Plantation.
The Professor and the burger specials and all kinds of great stuff going on there. So, that has become. Would you say that is probably one of the best attended trivia competitions anywhere?
Well, people around town do really well with trivia, which is cool. I just find it interesting that like out west is so different than out east. Like the summertime is when things.
It's more family oriented. Guys get together.
Yeah,
Nobody talks to anybody. Yeah. I mean, I peek my head out the door, and I'm hoping nobody notices I don't have pants on when I get the newspaper, and that's it. It's like Papillon, How do I look? But you guys get together, man. You barbecue, you do all kinds of crazy shit, and then playing trivia, which is fantastic.
Does really well, so it's fun, and we have a good time. And Ken's in rare form, so it's always interesting when we do our trivias at Landlubbers.
Now, do you drink while you're conducting this?
I don't really. Ken will have a couple, but Ken's hanging out and helping score stuff and set up stuff. I doing the talking, and I do a lot of walking around. So I am usually try to stay on my game as much as possible.
So you got the microphone and you're walking around like Gurgles used to at the Shoeless.
I don't do that as much because the microphone is on an XLR, but I walk around and grab people's stuff so that we can score it every round.
Okay.
Landlubbers is decent size, so
is there a scoreboard where people can look and see where they're standing?
Ken doesn't like people knowing. Ken wants people to have no idea.
Oh, okay.
Because the last round, you can lose points and sort of wager. So Ken likes it being unknown, so people go all in mentality,
like a boxing match. It's great.
Yes, yeah, exactly.
When they had open scoring in boxing, very briefly, it was a disaster.
Oh, really?
Well, I mean, because if a guy found out, they were informing the corner where the scorecard stood after the fourth and eighth rounds of like a 12-round fight. Yeah, so I mean, if you know your fighter's up 8-0 after 8 rounds,
just stay away.
What are you going to tell him to do? Make sure you knock him out. No, of course not. You're going to tell him to run for your life. Ben Gazzara time. All right, very good, Libby. So people will see you there at Landlubbers later on tonight, and that should be, I mean, new people are welcome, right? And they shouldn't be intimidated. Is that a fair statement?
Yes.
New people, welcome. Yeah, very good.
We had every week we get 2 to 3 to 4 new people, and they actually perform a wide range. People that are really into it and sort of get it do pretty well, actually. Yeah, we're open. We get a lot of return players, but we get new people too. It's a nice crowd. It's a nice mix. It's very interesting just to see how active it is out west in the middle of the summer compared to how it is out east in summertime.
There's people out. I mean, if you go down to Lauderdale by the Sea or whatever, which is near me, I mean, wasn't much action last night. It looked like it was going to rain. So anyway, all right. So tomorrow we have the Dolphins game. We'll have the Professor, and he'll have a big board for us. We didn't get to the big board last week because, he went off on like Heisman Trophy possibilities.
You talk college football this time of year, he will get very much into it.
No, I mean, it was great, all of this analysis that we got. And people are sending it in, Lubie, on Georgia Tech. Sending it in. That line is dropping. I think it got as high as 12. I have it here today.
It went back up. Now it's gone back down.
10 and a hook, Georgia Tech.
It's an overseas game, and it's the first time you'll see DJU in the FSU uniform. And Georgia Tech is one of these teams people are trying to talk themselves into. I don't know why. I watched them last year. They weren't good, but people like this coach, and they're trying to talk themselves into Georgia Tech. I understand. I mean, again, it's an overseas game. Like, these games can be weird. It's college kids. They got there this week. Who the fuck knows?
Ugly weather
It's Ireland.
What is that? The women are playing like the Scottish Open or something?
Oh, Jesus.
Oh, my God. I mean, do they ever have a summertime there? Well,
No, that's the thing with England. It's supposedly like makes
like
Seattle
shit
look
weather. Unbelievable.
sunny.
Freezing out. All right. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. We will see you mañana, right here on the next edition of the Defo Show. And thanks so much for joining us. See you next time as we leave it now that.
The time.
It's 9:01.
Let's go to eat a damn snack.
Look what